Hi everyone, my name is Saulo Said and you are at Graphicacy, a YouTube channel dedicated to Tableau, graphic design and data literacy. Today we're going to see how to create a drill down using Dynamic Zone Visibility. Let's get started. Let's say you have in your dashboard a single chart, just one tree map, sales by segment. The moment you click here in consumer, look at this. A new chart just appeared in your dashboard. One chart showing sales by customer. Now we have two charts, right? The moment you click on one specific customer, we're gonna see that your dashboard have one more chart on the right hand side. So this is one practical example of the dynamic zone visibility. Things will be shown or hidden depending on what you do in your dashboard. Right, why dynamic zone is important? You have your dashboard. Your dashboard contains, let's say, 6 different charts. So that's the reason you have these 6 charts over there. Eventually they need all of them. But what if you give them the chance to just look at something if they really need that chart? That is what the Dynamic Zone Visibility allows the end user to do. In my view, using Dynamic Zone Visibility might increase the user experience. So the very basic logic of the Dynamic Zone Visibility is one chart will be shown or hidden depending on one boolean calculation. So if this calculation returns true, the chart is shown. If the calculation returns false, the chart is hidden. The chart number 2, sales by customer. If we click on layout, right here we have a new checkbox. Control visibility using value. And right here we have one function. This should be a boolean calculation. Right. I'm not only showing dynamic zone visibility, but also combining this feature with a drill down. So in order to understand how to create a drill down with Dynamic Zone Visibility, I decided to split the process into 4 steps. So the 4 steps are: create the filters, create the parameter and calculated field. Remember, we need one calculated field boolean calculation to use in the Dynamic Zone Visibility. Then we're gonna create a parameter action. And finally, set up the zone visibility. Right, step number 1, create the filters. Here I have one dashboard, and this dashboard do not contain any action, any filter or zone visibility. So I just have the 3 separate charts. So the first thing I'm going to do here is create the actions. So basically, I want this chart here to be the trigger of the filter, and this filter should be applied to the second and the third, right? The second one, this one, to work as the source of the filter, and this should be applied to the third, but not to the first, okay? I don't want the customer to filter the segment, okay? I don't want that. Okay, so let's create the filter. The first one I can simplify just using this button, using as filter. So right now, when I click here, I am applying a filter in the other charts. Good. The second one, I can use this shortcut, but I will add this afterwards. So I click here, use as filter. Let me click here on dashboard, action. I have here filter 1 generated and filter 2 generated. Let me rename this guy here. Let me rename filter 1 is, I will call this guy segment filter. Segment filter all. The second one, I will rename this guy is customer filter product. Okay, so in that case, I need to deselect as the target of the filter the segment, and that's all. Let me check. So consumer, apply to all, which is fine. Then Sarah, apply it just to the product. So we're done with the step number 1. Step number 2, create the parameter and the calculated field. Right, so let me show you the logic. Here, what I want to see is, so if I select something in the first, I want the second one to appear, okay? In other words, I need to have a parameter action here. So if I have a value assigned here, the second chart appear. If I don't have any value selected, the chart number 2 will be hidden. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do here is create my first parameter. I will call this one segment parameter. Okay, this one, the data type is string, and in this case I will keep as all, so all values will be accepted. You are gonna understand why. Segment parameter is string, right? So right now, to use in the zone visibility, I need to have a boolean calculation. The logic is, if something is selected, I wanna see the second chart. If nothing is selected in terms of segment, right, the chart should be hidden. Okay, so I'm gonna use here segment parameter and add this into the calculation. So it should be equal to none. So none gonna be the value when nothing is selected. I will set up this in the parameter action. You're gonna see afterwards. Okay, but something important to understand is if this return true, the chart will be shown, right? So I need to have an expression here, not, because right now, if I select something, okay, if I trigger my parameter action, so my function will return true, okay? Segment function, and hit OK. Right now, I will set up the first parameter action, okay? The first parameter action, which is dashboard actions. Okay, we'll click here parameter action. Okay, segment parameter action. Okay, so the source sheet should be the segment. The target parameter is the segment parameter. The source field should be segment, and here clearing the selection will set the value to none. So basically, if I click on consumer become my parameter value. If I deselect consumer, so my value gonna be none. Okay, so let me hit OK, fine. So let's just check if the parameter is working properly. Okay, so if I click on consumer, look, the value is consumer. If I deselect consumer, none. If I click on corporate, the parameter is corporate. If I deselect, none. Okay, so when nothing is selected, the parameter value is none. So now let's set up the dynamic zone visibility. I select the sales by customer, okay, layout, then control visibility value, and look at this, I have segment function here. Okay, now as you can see, my parameter is none and the chart number 2 disappear. But look at this, if I click on consumer, the chart number 2 appear. Our function is, if my segment parameter is different from none, it's true. So look at this, my parameter is different from none. So the function returns true and the visualization appear. If I deselect, so now my function returns false. Why it returns false? Because right now my parameter is equal to none. So this expression here returns false. Okay, right now what I'm going to do is basically repeat the process for the step number 3. That's the reason I will accelerate the video, but it's the same process. Okay, I will create the parameter, then create the function, then the parameter action. Right, let me test if the things are working properly. I will click here on consumer, then I can see here the sales by customer filtered by the consumer, right? And then when I click in Sarah, I can see the third chart, sales by category and product. If I deselect Sarah, if I deselect consumer, I go back to the starting point. It's important to say that the method I am using here, especially to trigger the filter, is not the only one that exists. There is multiple ways. I really appreciate the way that Tim showed the dynamic zone visibility. So I adapt a little bit his method, and I'm sure that the data fan will find a lot of different use cases for the dynamic zone visibility. But For me, the bottom line is what we're bringing to the end user, and I believe that the dynamic zone visibility help us to prioritize the content. Some contents are not important always, so what's the reason this content to appear in the dashboard always? That's the point. I hope you appreciate. Comment here if you like this video or something that I can improve, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I hope to see you very soon. Bye!